All right, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to be here with all of you. So today is Sunday's free Ask an Angel call, and we're going to tap into what happens when we die. Um, I was hoping that Casey was going to be here today, but something came up and he's not. So we had a bunch of questions we were going to delve into around grief, and we're going to do that. We'll do that next week, but we will talk about what happens when you die, the grieving process a little bit, and then go through a process with Raphael to connect, if you would like to. You don't have to, but if you would like to, with those who perhaps you love, who are no longer in the body, and see if there's any messages that they have for you, or that you want to, anything you want to communicate with one another. Perhaps some healing could take place. You know, grief is a very, very, very powerful emotion. And with it can often come guilt, shame, a wishing we had said something or done something. And that is par for the course. There's the different stages of grief, right? Shock, denial, bargaining, trying to remember them. They're defined in different ways, and eventually through the process we come to an acceptance, but yet it feels as though, depending on the loss of a loved one, grief it's always sitting there, on some level, and it subsides, right, over time. But my experience, and everyone's, is different, that it comes in waves. It's like you're fine, you're not even thinking about it, all of a sudden, boom, you just get knocked over with grief. And then it subsides, and the wave goes back out, and you go about your life, and another one comes in. So it's a lifelong process. So we'll tap into that energy today, and what happens when we die, and then we'll go into meditation. Kim is going to get on and say hello, and then ask just maybe a brief question to Raphael, and we'll delve even more deeper, into grief itself later. We are moving into the next key code soon, and that is the forgiveness key code. The forgiveness key code is about forgiving yourself, and forgiving others. And when we find ourselves being emotionally triggered, I don't know that any of you ever feel that way. Does anybody else out there ever get emotionally triggered? Obviously, I'm joking. We all do, right? I got pretty triggered myself about 45 minutes ago. I was fuming. And so what is a trigger? Why do we get triggered? Is that a trigger is like poking at something, and you can't poke at something and trigger it unless there's a wound. So in the forgiveness key code, we're going to work with our wounds and what they are, and how we can heal them, so that we can maintain healthy relationships. And that person that says that thing that just drives you crazy and triggers you, you're just like, hey, I'm good, all is good. And I think one of the reasons we want to go into this particular key code is we're coming into the holiday season, into Thanksgiving, and different holidays coming up. And sometimes people, well, sometimes get a little triggered by their family. And so working with this key code will really support you through that time. And it runs up to right before Thanksgiving, so that you're feeling ready to be at the dinner table with everybody, and not only on holidays, but just in general, like cooking in the kitchen with your spouse, or driving your kid to school, or talking to your in-laws, or whatever it is that triggers you. So if you're interested in the forgiveness key code, you should get registered for that now. And I want to remind you guys that the IM membership is the way to go, because you get all the key codes. And if you haven't had them yet, you get access to the ones behind. Can everyone please make sure they're muted? Okay, I don't know if this is going to work. So I'm going to try and just bring in Raphael, and Kim will say hello, and then my husband's going to make sure everybody's muted. Okay. I'm going to turn off my button so that I can channel. If you guys are new to this process, I've been channeling a long time 33 years. I'm going to make some toning sounds. You're not going to be able to hear me. I'm going to move my hands around, look like a crazy lady. And that's the way that I align with Raphael. I'm going to come in and say hello, and then you'll heal Raphael, and we'll go through the process. I'll be right back. Hello.
Hello, Archangel Raphael. Hello.
Hello, hello,
Hello. Hello. Hello.
hello.
Thank you for being here. We love you. And we would like to ask you today, what happens when we die? And how is it best to deal with the grief process when a loved one passes, and also grief in general? We'd like to ask you that today.
Well, we are very delighted from the angelic realm and many beings of light to be here with you today. And in many ways, we are your welcoming committee when you die. And we want to assure you to release your fear around dying. For dying is not the end of anything, but yet the beginning of something new. And there is nothing, and we mean nothing, to be afraid of in this process, where you're simply letting go of the physical form, the density of your body. And you have done this many, many, many times before. And yet, with the veil, there is the forgetting. It is that in that process, however, for each and every one of you, it is a bit different. It is not all exactly the same, but there is an overall feeling and energy that occurs, and a sequence of events that unfold. And yet the sequences are not linear as they are here in the realm in which you are in, because where it is that you are, you operate in time, and where it is that we are, in which you dwell and live at the time of moving through this space and the leaving of the body, there is no time in this way. And yet it is very difficult for us to fully access and communicate this to you, for it is not part of the process in which you understand and work in your particular realm. But it is that all things are happening instantaneously and simultaneously, and yet you are able to decipher them with quite ease and grace, and time changes them. For when it is that you are leaving the body, especially if it is something that is unexpected or shocking, time in a sense will slow down, and things will be moving in a slow motion in order for you to begin to adapt to what is happening to you in this process, because it is not something that is part of your conscious awareness, nor where there's preparation. Just as this can be very shocking to those getting the news of your quick departure, it can be very shocking to you as well. And so there is a lot to assimilate. At the time of death, you go through a process that we have spoken of many times before, in which you review your entire life. And for some of you, it is from the moment where you are at the moment of death back to birth. And for other times, you move in the sequence of birth to where it is you are, but it is all happening instantaneously and simultaneously. And you would think that in order to review the life of someone, perhaps who was of a very old age of 90 years, it would take a very long time. And yet it is within linear time, under a second, because it is happening in a different way, in a different perspective. And yet every smell that you have ever smelled, everything that you have tasted, every word that you have spoken, every feeling that you have had, every thought you have thought, everything you have done, every action that has occurred is experienced. And it is that not only is it experienced through your perception, and especially, particularly, it will come very much rising to the surface of different moments in your life in which you had a great learning or an opening or an opportunity, and sometimes perhaps even a regret or a way of being or speaking or action that you are looking to review and to pay attention to. And it is that not only does it happen from the perspective of who it was that you were in that individual lifetime, but you can also drop in to the energy of a loved one, meaning that you may have had a relationship with someone, and depending upon your connection and interaction or way of being, if there is a part that is needed for you to fully feel and embrace the way in which you have been, giving or not giving, or in whatever way, to experience how they experienced you for the evolution and growth of your soul, you will feel what it feels like or it felt like to be in their body as they received whatever interaction that you had together. And it is that sometimes you might be worried about this or fearful. Perhaps you hadn't always been the most loving self that you had always wanted to be. And you may not want to feel what it feels like to be on the other side of an interaction or communication from another. But you see, in the state that you are in during the life review, there is no judgment, meaning you do not judge yourself, nor are you judged by another. And the vibration and the energy of judgment itself is null and void and not accessible to you, for that is not the place in which or the purpose of the review, other than the gathering of the energy and the vibration and the evolution of what has occurred for your individual and collective growth as you begin to connect at a later time with the assignment and contracts of perhaps another place in which you may be choosing to embody and to move toward in what you would perceive or understand as another lifetime. It is that after this quickening, which is less than or under a minute, and sometimes under even a second of this reviewing, there is often an appearance and a connection with those who you have loved, who have passed, who are here to greet you. And you may say, well, how can they greet you? Where is it that they are coming from? And perhaps have they already incarnated? And how can they be present for you? But the energetic imprint of who it is that they are from the experience in which you have known them in a holographic form is always accessible and available to you. And often at times before passing through their own process, they may arrange or make an agreement to be with and be part of a welcoming committee at the time in which you will be passing. And so it is at an imprint of their energy and vibration that is very welcoming, and it's something very familiar to you to help you through the transition. Is there greeting you and often felt and seen by others as you begin to float. In this floating process, sometimes, but not always, there is an awareness of the leaving of the actual body, and other times you are simply being called. You often have heard many times throughout history and writings and teachings of a white light. There is complete and absolute truth to that, and yet it cannot be described from the language in which you have of where it is that you are. But this is a very warm and inviting and loving light that is has a love that cannot be measured nor described or even begin to be understood from where it is that you are now, but is so embracing that you feel so at peace, beginning to merge and become one in the recognition of all that is. It is that at times, depending upon the soul and their incarnation and their needing for transitional time, some will go into a cocooning period where they are held and blanketed and in a sleep state, in a sense, in which the soul has time to integrate and to receive information and downloads from the current human experience. And at times, those who are left behind such as yourself, who have not gone through the dying process yet, may have a loved one who, at the time of death, when they left, went into this cocooning. In this time, it is difficult to access them, and you might feel that they are just gone, that they left, and you cannot connect with them. Others will remain very close to you, very present, very accessible, very easy. They will come to you in birds. They will come in animals and symbols and signs and insects and flowers. They will present themselves in a way to let you know that they are there. And they are in a period of hovering where they are still working and doing things that they need to tie up some loose ends, and often have made an agreement or a choice to stay present and protective and to see over you for a period of time. There are many different options and things that occur during this process. It is not always exact or the same for each and every one of you, depending upon what is occurring in your personal soul agreements, and what is occurring in your soul family and cluster, and what it is that is best for the evolution of your soul and those in around you. And so it is, however, that we recognize from the perspective of those who are still embodying the physical form, that the loss and the inability to lay with, to hold, to touch, to communicate, to share, to connect with one in which you have loved for perhaps a lifetime or only a moment that is fleeting and gone, leaves you with a great opening, a sense of despair and sorrow within the heart. Many of you refer to this feeling as grief. And this grieving energy and vibration is also a gift. And it is very difficult to see it as a gift, but it is because it can spur and ignite you on a new journey and a new beginning. And although often the loss of another is devastating and there is great sorrow and pain around it, it is also for them a new beginning, but it is a new beginning for you as well, a new adventure, a new way, and sometimes with it comes freedom. And with that, there can be guilt that is found around that freedom because you're feeling simply that you are not wanting to feel things, that sometimes it is even a relief, especially those who have been sick for a very, very long time, or you've been caretaking for them. And so there are many emotions here and around this. But the most important thing is that we want to reassure you that there is nothing at all to be afraid of in regards to death. And that all of you will die and you will leave this body behind and you will return to source. And along that pathway, you will encounter and connect with many, if not all, of those who have left before you, rekindling your connection, relationship, and an honoring of one another. But while you are here on earth, it is to embrace, to enjoy, and to live your life to the fullest capacity possible, and to know that you have chosen and are here at this moment in time because it is part of the great design of who you are and the agreements around your own being. It is today that we understand that communicating in the dialogue in which we had chosen or wanted to, moving into greater depth of these subjects is not possible due to the nature of the communicating today. But we want to bring you and connect you with those who have passed, if you are choosing and if you are wanting, in order to feel a greater sense of connection within your heart and theirs, and perhaps create an opening and a space, for we want to remind you the power of intention. Intention is so much and yet so easily forgotten, so easily overlooked, and yet it is everything. The power of your intent, in whatever regard it may be, carries much more weight than you recognize nor understand. And so it is to intend to connect and to communicate and to be present with a loved one alone is 85% of the process. And in doing so, in the stillness of your being, in the willingness to drop fully into a space of surrendering and presence, you may invite and envelop their energy to align with yours in an opening of connection and communication. So, with that, we're going to go through a process today in which I am here with you and I am attuning to all of you, everyone listening to this in this now moment or in any now moment where there is no time. And as I do that, I am aligning with all of your energies, for I can move across timelines and I can know and feel and sense and see any and everyone who will ever listen to this. And I can attune to all of you in this moment and simultaneously to all of those that you love, that you have known, that are no longer in their body. And you may wonder, how is that possible? And yet it is, because it is all happening instantaneously and simultaneously in this now moment. From my perspective, it is an energy and an impression. It is a way of being and communicating where words are not chosen to be spoken, but there is a deep sense of knowing. And that same sense of knowing, I know, I feel, and I sense around each and every one of you. And there are some of you listening now who are deeply feeling this grief in your heart. There are other ones who have lost someone a very long, long time ago and have healed and yet are still open and wanting to communicate. And there are others who are a bit curious about the idea. But whatever it may be, we are here to support you at whatever level you are wanting or ready to receive. As I have a team coming in today, and they are very present as they are now beginning to arrive. And as they are arriving, we are asking you to close your eyes. You see, you're going to go over the Rainbow Bridge, and this bridge is a place in which you will meet at a halfway point, for we will not invite fully and completely those who are no longer in their body to fully embody the density of the vibration in which you dwell, for that is hard for them to hold that frequency for long periods of time, just as it is hard for me to be in this body and to communicate with you for longer than a period of time, because the energies are not matching in frequency, although mine and this one, Kelly, the vessel I speak with and through, are integrating more and more as one. But for you, it is important to meet them halfway, meaning you will have to raise your vibration, releasing some density in order to meet them halfway on the bridge as they will meet you. We speak of this as the Rainbow Bridge of Light, that in a sense you can think of it between the world of time and space where it is that you are, and the space of nothingness, the vastness of oneness, light, and all that is, where love pervades everything, everyone, and anything. And it is in that space that one dwells and is basking in that light. Sometimes there is a letting go of the impression of the sense of an individual understanding of self. And yet, when you come halfway along the Rainbow Bridge and you bring awareness to the impression that you have of the one who has passed, holding and carrying their vibration, even though they are not any longer in a body, any longer in a form, there is an imprint of who they are, and a recognition of that energy is called to you, where you are able to read their records of their lifetime, and their energy and awareness of you is awakened as you can begin to attune to one another and begin to resolve, communicate, love, and share in great depth. And often there's something that one may want to say from one side, from the world of the unknown beyond the veil into the realm of the nothingness of light and love and all that is. They too have messages, things to share, wanting to bring to you awareness about something, an understanding, an answering of a question, to remind you how much they loved you, to relieve you of any guilt or shame that you may still be carrying within the cellular structure of your body. And yet within you, it is the same. There may be words that you are not able to say or share, or unspoken thoughts or questions or wondering. And so it is today is a moment to meet together on the bridge with the assistance of many ascended masters who are here assisting in this process of this crossing over. And as we do this, simply you will be placed in a space. And in that space, there will be an opening to allow and to invite. You may be choosing now in this moment who and if anyone you are wanting to connect with. If there is not one that you are finding, you may ask for your guardian angel to arrive, for the communication can be the same in this respect. Taking a nice deep breath now, dropping into the presence of the here and now. Becoming aware of awareness itself. Becoming aware of space. Moving into presence. Becoming aware of the I am that I am present. That is you. At the highest aspect of who it is that you are. With your intent, begin to call in your I am that I am present. Becoming aware of its energy in form as it stands in front of you. It is taller than you are, and it is shimmering with light. You see yourself in the most divine perfection, as if you are glowing and radiant with love. You are at an age in which you feel the most comfortable and at ease in your body and in everything about you. You have not had trauma or hard experiences of any kind, for you're still holding this sense of complete purity and innocence and light, for you are holding a frequency beyond that of the earth, attuning to the vibration of this presence. Begin to become aware of all of the ascended masters and angels that are here today in droves. Many of them are wearing robes of white, and they are also shimmering. Some are in golden robes and others in the color violet. They are all here to support this greeting and meeting of your loved one. Begin to sense and feel their presence. And as you feel their presence, attuning to your I am that I am presence, notice your I am that I am self among them, standing among them in a robe. Notice what robe you're wearing. Notice the color. Notice how you are shimmering with light, as if you're floating a bit. Notice the silkiness of your hair, the softness of your skin, and the brightness and the twinkling in your eye. As you're tuning to your I am that I am presence, Know that it stands among beings of the highest vibration, radiating so much love. And that with that presence and that frequency, you have the ability to travel along with them over the rainbow bridge to a spaciousness where a calling will happen, an echoing, a speaking out, and inviting of your loved one to come. Begin to bring an awareness now of who it is that you're wanting to invite to come along and meet you on the bridge. Begin to continue to breathe and allow yourself to float as if you're beginning to slowly lift up from where you are. As you are floating in space, you are aware of the spaciousness in your body and the space in the room you're in, the space all around you. And you are floating, floating even higher and moving into the Earth's atmosphere, aware of the space, feeling the space everywhere around you, continuing to float now into the spaciousness of the deeps of blue sky and beyond the sky, out of the atmosphere and into the Milky Way. There you are, floating in nothingness. You may notice some stars, some swirling light around you, and a sea of blackness out as far as you can go. Become aware of this energy and this space of nothingness and feel your presence as the I am that I am present, floating in this space, accompanied by many legions of angels and masters that are floating with you. And as you continue to float, you begin to become aware in the vastness of this empty space. There is a twirling, a swirling energy that is moving toward you rapidly in a clockwise fashion. It is swirling around, and as it swirls, it begins to open like a stargate or a wormhole that is opening up, and it is pulling you, and you are floating and moving through this wormhole, and it is becoming darker and darker there. And yet you feel so comfortable and at ease in this floating, vast space of nothingness. Keep going, allowing yourself to swirl and twirl through this tunnel of nothingness. And as you continue to travel, you begin to see a speck, a tiny light in the distance. And as you are moving rapidly through this tunnel, the light is starting to become brighter and brighter. And you are moving rapidly, rapidly toward this light. Continue moving toward it. And as you get closer, it feels so warm and inviting. It is glowing and shimmering like gold, and it is calling you. It feels so peaceful and loving and engaging. And as you are moving toward it, now you are simply floating in the light, like golden light all around, shimmering as far as you can see in the vastness of nothingness. as if you're floating on cloud, and yet there are none. You just are, and it feels so good. In this space, we are here with you. Feel us and sense our energy. Become aware of my love for you as Archangel Raphael. Notice the warmth of my being moving toward you as I place my hand upon your heart, sending light and softening it for the welcoming and connection with your loved one. Follow me as you feel the energy and the vibration of all of these angels accompanying you. Begin to look down now and notice that you are standing on a bridge. This bridge is made of crystal, and yet every color in the rainbow is represented, and other colors you have never seen before. They are glowing and shimmering, and this bridge is open and wide. Beneath it is more light, and above it is light. To the left and the right, all around you is this light. Standing now on the bridge, you are at a point in which you are ready to invite that of your loved one to appear. With your intent, you may call them now, calling their name and asking them to come. You may be surprised. One may come, or two, or many, just to allow whoever is able and willing to arrive. They are walking across the bridge. You see them out in the distance, and they are slowly moving toward you. As they move toward you, you begin to recognize them as the face that they had on earth begins to come into focus. You begin to see their features, their hair, the clothing they once wore, perhaps the feeling of their energy, the smell that they carried, the laugh they had, the characteristics of them. It may be one or more arriving. Just bring a moment to feel and sense them as they are coming and approaching you on the bridge. You are standing on this side of the veil and them on another. But for this moment in time, today, in this now, you are able to feel and sense them as if they were in your dimension. You are able to connect, communicate, and share with them your thoughts and ask them questions, and they ask you as you communicate just as you had before. Notice that there is nothing above you except spaciousness, and nothing below you except spaciousness, and spaciousness to the left and the right. You're encased in a beautiful enveloping light, but yet somehow you know you're still being held and standing on the bridge. You may sit down now on the rainbow bridge with the crystals around you, knowing that you are comfortable, for there is a velvet cushion there waiting for you to take a seat. As you sit, as many as have arrived, one or more, will be sitting on a velvet cushion in front of you. You are sitting cross-legged, and so are they. This is your time now to say hello. Notice, feel, and sense their energy. They love you. They see your light. This is your time now. Share with them whatever you want to share, and also make space to listen. What is it that they are saying? What is it that you want to say? Know that they love you and that they are happy and that they are helping the planet from where they are and that they are helping you and that they are sorry if they've ever hurt you. And that when it is time to be together again, you will laugh about the humanness of life. They want you to be happy and joyful, to play and to experience life. Where it is that they are, they don't get to taste things or have pizza. They don't smell flowers. They don't see the blue sky or the flowers or the birds. They don't swim in the ocean. They are reminding you to enjoy all of the earth's experiences, reminding you to enjoy your senses, to live life to the fullest, to embrace life, that it goes by quickly, not to get caught up in drama or gossip. To forgive, to let go, and to embrace every moment, every sunset, every drop of rain, every blade of grass, every sound, every smell, every taste. That where they are is different. that it is so magical and wonderful, and that they work in other dimensions with shapes and colors, that they float with diamonds and crystals and geometry and white horses galloping by. But it is different. It is not better or worse. It is just different. And you will know it and remember it when it is your time. But they want you to open your heart, to love those around you, to cherish things, to cherish life, to enjoy it and embrace it, to say yes to life, to breathe in life, and to know that you are God, that you are love, that you are all that is, that everything is you, and you are everything, and they are you, and you are them. And now it is time to say goodbye, just for now. You can come and visit anytime on the Rainbow Bridge together that you want. But for now, they're beginning to fade away, knowing that they can come at any time, as can you. And as they slowly begin to fade away, you feel lighter, more peaceful, at ease, remembering not to take life so seriously, to laugh, to have some fun, to enjoy, to breathe in life. And with that, you begin to float, coming away from the bridge, moving and swirling toward a pulling sensation as you are being pulled toward a door that is open, and it is calling you back home. And you begin to move very rapidly through a dark space. And this space opens up into the vastness of the black sky, floating through the Milky Way. And you keep dropping down as you begin to float now into the Earth's atmosphere, energetically locating your geographical location, moving toward that, toward your home or building, into the room you're in, and fully embodying where you are now in your human body, with the name you have in this lifetime, the body that you chose, the experiences you're having, with the remembering that you are more than all of that. You are a vast being of light, and that you are here to play, to enjoy, to embrace, and to be. And with that, when you are ready, then start to bring your awareness back into the here and now, coming back into your body, taking a nice deep breath, opening your eyes when you're ready, and knowing that all is well. How beautiful. that may have been emotional for you. That's okay. Good to get all that stuff out, right? Good stuff. So lovely. Well, thank you for joining our Sunday free call. I truly appreciate all of you. And I hope you will join us for the forgiveness the forgiveness key code. The DNA has been something else. We'll be doing powerful work. So we are building a template of light around our body to ascend to the higher realms, baby. Woohoo, let's do it. Oh, we're in it together to win it. Okay. All right. I love you. Let me unmute you all. We can say goodbye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Love
you.
you,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
That was
Thank you.
wonderful.
So grateful to be in this family.
Yes.
Thank you.
Totally agree.
You. All right. Much love. See you.
Much love.
Much love. I'll see you in the Monday morning, bright and
See you
early.
in
All right. I'm going to hang up. Love you.